You make decent money, more than you did 5 years ago, maybe significantly more. And yet, the account balance looks roughly the same as it did back then. The financial stress hasn't lifted. The goals, the real ones, the ones that would actually change your life, feel just as distant as they did when you were earning less. You upgraded the apartment, the car, the wardrobe, the restaurants, the subscriptions, the lifestyle. Everything rose to match the income. And somehow, despite making more than ever, you feel exactly as stuck as you did before. Meanwhile, you read about people who earn less than you but have 6 figures invested. You see people your age buying homes while you're still figuring out how to build a meaningful emergency fund. You wonder what they know that you don't, what system they're using, what secret you missed. Here's the uncomfortable truth. There is no secret. There's just a system. A specific way of allocating every dollar that crosses your account. The wealthy don't manage money better because they have more of it. They have more of it because they manage it better. The habits come first. The wealth follows. This video breaks down exactly how to manage your money like the top 1%. Not theory. Not vague advice about spending less. A concrete system you can implement this week, regardless of what you currently earn. Let's get into it. The core principle. It's not about how much you make. Before we get into the system, this idea needs to sink in completely. Your income is not your problem. Your system is your problem. Or, more accurately, your lack of one. Over 60% of Americans earning 6 figures still live paycheck to paycheck. They make more than most people in the country. They should be building wealth effortlessly. Instead, they're trapped in the same cycle as everyone else, just with nicer furniture. How is this possible? Because spending expands to fill available income. Without a system that directs money before you see it, lifestyle absorbs everything. The raise disappears. The bonus vanishes. The side income gets consumed. You scale up your life to match whatever you earn, and the margin never materializes. The 1% don't avoid this trap because they're smarter or more disciplined. They avoid it because they use systems that make good decisions automatic. They structure their finances so the right things happen without requiring willpower, attention, or daily choices. That's what I'm giving you today. A structure, a rule, a way to make wealth building automatic instead of aspirational. The framework, the 15-50-20-15 rule. Here's the system, broken into 4 buckets that cover every dollar you earn. You've probably heard other rules before. The 50-30-20, the 75-10-15, the 15-65-20. They all try to solve the same problem, but most of them make a critical mistake. They either skimp on investing, ignore the emergency fund entirely, or lump everything together in ways that let lifestyle creep go unchecked. The 15-50-20-15 rule fixes this by treating both your future wealth and your financial stability as non-negotiable priorities, while still giving you real room to enjoy your life. Every bucket has a purpose. Nothing gets left to chance. 15% goes to your future self, investments that compound over time. 50% goes to essentials, the true cost of keeping your life running. 20% goes to lifestyle, the things that make life enjoyable without derailing your finances. 15% goes to your stability fund, the cushion that protects everything else. 15, 50, 20, 15. Every dollar has a job before it hits your account. Nothing sits around waiting for a purpose. Nothing gets accidentally absorbed by lifestyle creep. Let me break down each bucket and show you exactly how to implement it. The first 15%, paying your future self. This is the money that works while you sleep, the money that compounds, the money that eventually makes work optional. Most people treat investing as something that happens with leftovers. Whatever remains after bills, after lifestyle, after unexpected expenses, that's what supposedly goes toward the future, which means nothing goes toward the future because nothing ever remains. The 1% flip this completely. The first money that moves when income arrives goes directly to investments, not last, first, before lifestyle has a chance to consume it, before you even see it sitting in your account looking spendable. This single habit, paying your future self first, separates people who build wealth from people who earn well but stay broke. Here's why the math matters so much. Someone who invests $300 monthly starting at 25 will have roughly $1.2 million by 65, assuming average market returns around 10%. Someone who waits until 35 and invests the same amount monthly ends up with around $500,000. 10 years of delay costs over $700,000. The difference isn't the monthly amount, it's time. Compound growth is exponential. Early money has decades to multiply. Late money barely has time to grow. Every year you delay is an advantage you never get back. So where does this 15% actually go? Start with tax-advantaged accounts. In 2026, you can contribute up to $24,500 annually to a 401k, with an additional $8,000 in catch-up contributions if you're over 50. For a Roth IRA, the limit is $7,500, plus $1,100 extra if you're 50 or older. If your employer offers a 401k match, that's free money, a 100% return before your investment even grows. Max out whatever they'll match before doing anything else. After that, prioritize a Roth IRA. Money goes in after taxes, but it grows completely tax-free. When you withdraw in retirement, you pay nothing on the gains. Peter Thiel famously grew his Roth IRA to over $5 billion, and he'll pay zero taxes when he withdraws it. Once you've maxed tax-advantaged accounts, additional investments go into a regular taxable brokerage account. What do you actually invest in? Keep it simple. An index fund tracking the total stock market or the S&P 500 requires no expertise, no stock picking, no timing the market. You're buying a small piece of hundreds of companies at once. Historically, these funds have averaged around 10% annual returns over long periods. Set up automatic monthly purchases and let compound growth do what it does. The key is automation. The 15% should transfer automatically the moment your paycheck arrives. You never see it. You never decide whether this month is a good month to invest. The system handles it without your involvement. The 50%, essentials that actually keep you alive. Half your income, maximum, goes to the things that keep life running. Housing, utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance, minimum debt payments. The baseline cost of existence. Notice what's not on that list. Restaurants, entertainment, subscriptions, shopping, new clothes beyond basic necessities. Those aren't essentials. They're lifestyle, and they belong in a different bucket. Most people blur this line constantly. They tell themselves dining out is essential because they need to eat. They categorize the gym membership as essential because health matters. They count the streaming services as essential because what else are they supposed to do? That's how 50% becomes 65%, then 70%. Then you're wondering why there's nothing left for savings despite making good money. The 50% cap forces honesty. It requires actually distinguishing between what keeps you alive and what keeps you comfortable. Comfort is fine. It just comes from a different bucket with a hard limit. Here's how to make this work. First, audit your actual spending. Most people have no idea where their money goes. Pull 3 months of bank statements and categorize every transaction. The picture that emerges will probably be uncomfortable, and that discomfort is exactly the point. Second, identify the 2 categories that matter most: housing and transportation. These are typically the largest expenses, and they're where lifestyle creep does the most damage. Housing should ideally stay below 25 to 30% of your income. In expensive cities, that might require roommates, a longer commute, or a smaller space than you'd prefer. The discomfort is temporary. The financial margin it creates is permanent. Transportation is the silent wealth killer. The average new car payment exceeds $770 monthly in 2026. Add insurance, gas, maintenance, and parking, and you're easily looking at over $1,000 monthly to own a depreciating asset. Buy used. Buy reliable. Buy something that gets you from point A to point B without draining your wealth-building capacity. The millionaire next door drives a Toyota, not a BMW. The status you're trying to project with an expensive car impresses people who don't matter while robbing your future self of compound growth. Third, eliminate the waste you're not seeing. Audit subscriptions ruthlessly. Cancel anything you haven't used in 30 days. Negotiate bills, internet, insurance, phone plans. Switch to cheaper alternatives where quality is functionally identical. The goal isn't deprivation. it's intentionality. Know exactly what your essentials cost. Keep them at or below 50%. Protect the margin that funds everything else. The 20%. Lifestyle that doesn't derail you. Here's where most financial advice goes wrong. It treats every non-essential expense as a problem to eliminate. It creates a framework of deprivation that feels like punishment. And then people abandon the whole system because saving feels pointless if life has no enjoyment. The 1% don't live like monks. They spend money on things they enjoy. They just do it within defined limits that protect their long-term goals. 20% of your income goes to lifestyle. Restaurants, entertainment, vacations, hobbies, the gym, coffee shops, clothes beyond bare necessities. Anything that makes life enjoyable but isn't strictly required for survival. This isn't an afterthought. It's a built-in component of the system. Guilt-free spending that's been planned for in advance. Why does this matter? Because restriction without release leads to explosion. Studies consistently show that people who build small indulgences into their financial plans stick with those plans far longer than people who try to eliminate all discretionary spending. The psychology mirrors dieting. Extreme restriction leads to binge behavior. Sustainable approaches include room for treats. 20% gives you that room. It's not unlimited, it's not reckless, but it's real. You can enjoy dinners out, trips with friends, hobbies that cost money, all without derailing your financial future. The key is separating this money visually. Consider a dedicated account for lifestyle spending. When the paycheck arrives, 20% transfers automatically to this account. That's your spending money for the month. When it's gone, it's gone. You wait until next month. This structure does two things. First, it makes spending feel guilt-free because you know the other buckets are already funded. Second, it creates natural limits that prevent lifestyle from expanding beyond what the system can support. Prioritize experiences over things. Vacations create memories. Social events strengthen relationships. Hobbies develop skills and relieve stress. Physical objects provide diminishing satisfaction after the initial purchase excitement fades. The 1% tend to spend on experiences that appreciate in value, relationships, health, personal growth, rather than material goods that depreciate the moment they're acquired. Their 20% goes further because it's directed toward things that actually improve quality of life rather than just filling closets. The final 15%, stability that protects everything else. This is the money most people skip. The cushion, the emergency fund, the margin of safety that keeps one bad month from destroying years of progress. Without this buffer, everything else becomes fragile. One job loss, one medical bill, one car breakdown, and suddenly you're liquidating investments at a bad time, running up credit card debt, watching the system collapse because there was no shock absorber. 15% of your income goes toward building and maintaining a stability fund equal to 5 months of essential expenses. Not total expenses, essential expenses. The 50% bucket we discussed earlier. If your essentials run $2,000 monthly, your stability fund target is $10,000. If they run $3,000, you're aiming for $15,000. Why 5 months? Because real emergencies rarely resolve quickly. Job searches take time. Medical recovery takes time. The crises that actually threaten financial stability aren't solved in a few weeks. 5 months gives you genuine breathing room to handle problems without panic. Where does this money live? A high-yield savings account paying 4 to 5% APY, which is readily available in 2026 from online banks. Not the 0.07% your traditional bank offers. Not invested in the stock market where it could be down 30% exactly when you need it. High-yield savings, liquid, accessible within 24 hours, earning meaningful interest while it waits. The Stability Fund has 3 rules. First, it must be easy to access. No accounts with withdrawal penalties or waiting periods. When emergencies hit, you need speed. Second, it must be zero risk. This is not growth money, it's protection money. The stock market doesn't belong here. Neither does crypto or anything else that fluctuates in value. Third, it must earn something. Parking cash in a zero-interest account means inflation eats away at it over time. The high-yield savings account solves this. Your stability fund grows modestly while remaining fully liquid and risk-free. Once you've hit your stability fund target, the 15% can redirect toward growth, more investments, accelerated wealth building. But until that cushion exists, it takes priority, making the system automatic. The 1% don't rely on willpower. They don't make monthly decisions about how much to save or invest. They set up systems that execute automatically, then focus their attention on earning more. Here's how to implement the 15-50-20-15 rule without ongoing effort. The day your paycheck arrives, automatic transfers should already be scheduled. 15% goes directly to investment accounts. 15% goes to the high-yield savings account for your stability fund. 20% goes to a separate lifestyle spending account. What remains, 50%, stays in checking for essentials. You never see the full paycheck sitting in your account looking spendable. By the time you log in, the money has already been allocated. The decision was made in advance. The system executed without requiring your attention. This is how wealthy people manage money. Not through constant vigilance, but through architecture that makes good choices automatic. Set it up once, check quarterly to make sure the percentages still make sense. Otherwise, forget about it and focus on the only thing that actually matters for acceleration: increasing your income. The mindset shift from spending to owning. Here's what separates the 1% from everyone else. It's not the specific percentages. It's not the tax strategies. It's a fundamental shift in how they think about money. Most people earn money to spend it. They work to afford things. Their financial life is a cycle of earning and consuming, with occasional guilt-ridden attempts to save whatever remains. The wealthy earn money to own things, not physical things, assets, investments, pieces of businesses, income-producing holdings that grow over time and eventually generate money without requiring additional work. Every dollar invested in an index fund buys ownership in hundreds of companies. Those companies have employees working, products selling, profits compounding, all of which increases the value of your ownership stake while you sleep. This is what making your money work for you actually means. Not a vague platitude, a literal description of what happens when you own assets that appreciate. The 15% going to your future self isn't disappearing, it's buying ownership. Year after year, that ownership compounds. Eventually, the income from what you own exceeds the income from what you do. That's financial independence. That's how the 1% actually became the 1%. Very few wealthy people got there by saving their way to riches. They got there by owning things that grew faster than they could ever earn through labor alone. The acceleration principle. Income matters too. The 15-50-20-15 rule works at any income level. Someone making $50,000 annually can implement it. Someone making $500,000 can implement the same percentages. But let's be honest, the person making $500,000 will build wealth faster, simply because the dollar amounts are larger. This is why the final piece of the system isn't about allocation, it's about acceleration. Once your system is running automatically, your focus should shift to increasing income. Negotiate your salary. Develop skills that command premium compensation. Build side income. Start a business. Find ways to increase the numerator. The 15% going to investments doesn't care whether it comes from a raise, a side hustle, or a business you built. It just needs to grow. And when income increases while lifestyle stays fixed, the percentages get even more powerful. Someone earning $100,000 with this system invests $15,000 annually. If they double their income to $200,000 while keeping lifestyle stable, they're now investing $30,000 annually, plus whatever additional percentage they can carve from the extra income. This is how wealth accelerates. Systems create the foundation. Income growth provides the fuel. Both matter. Neither alone is sufficient. Here's what this all comes down to. Every principle in this video, the automatic allocation, the tax-advantaged accounts, the emergency fund, the compound growth, the lifestyle boundaries, the ownership mindset, traces back to one underlying issue: financial literacy. The reason most people don't manage money like the 1% isn't laziness. It isn't irresponsibility. It's that nobody ever taught them how money actually works. School didn't cover it. Parents probably didn't understand it themselves. The knowledge that separates wealth builders from paycheck to paycheck earners simply wasn't transmitted. I made a complete breakdown of financial literacy that covers everything the school system skipped: how debt compounds against you, how credit scores are calculated and why they matter, how retirement accounts create tax advantages most people never use, how to build systems that make good decisions automatic so you don't have to rely on willpower alone. Links right here. If anything in this video felt like information you should have learned years ago, that video fills in the gaps. Because here's the truth: the 15-50-2015 rule only works if you understand why each piece matters. The wealthy didn't just stumble onto good habits. They learned how money functions and then designed their lives around that knowledge. You can have the same understanding. You can build the same systems. You can manage your money like the 1%, even if you're starting from zero, even if you're starting late, even if everything you've done until now has been the opposite of what this video recommends. The past doesn't determine the future. Your system does. Set up the automatic transfers this week. Open the accounts you don't have yet. Start the 15%, even if it feels uncomfortable. Build the stability fund. Cap the lifestyle at 20%. 1 year from now, you'll be in a completely different position. 5 years from now, the compound effects will be undeniable. 20 years from now, you'll understand exactly how people build wealth that seems impossible from the outside. It was never a secret. It was always a system. Now you have one.